And today I'm sharing a question from Crystal, and she writes, "Dear Lori, I need to talk to my 6-year-old about his behavior at school. He's in grade 1, and both this year and last year, there have been some issues, but last year, his teacher was wonderful and worked with him. This year, not so much. He gets very frustrated easily and apparently is disruptive. He also shows too much affection to the girls in the class, but at the same time doesn't really fit in socially. Today his teacher called me to say that this week has been different, in a bad way. Instead of seeming sorry for what he had done, he seemed smug and disrespectful. This kills me. I actually cried out in frustration when I got off the phone. I want to tell him to just do what he's told and not do what they tell him not to do, and that kids will like him better if he fits in and isn't disruptive, and that it's not okay to be disrespectful. But I don't know how I should approach this." Oh, Crystal, I so hear your frustration on this. Unfortunately, I find that most schools are not set up to serve the needs of children. Your son is one of thousands and thousands of young kids who display unwanted but age-appropriate behavior in school. And our boys bear the brunt of the discipline because their behaviors tend to be more noticeable. I don't understand kids getting kicked out of kindergarten or circle time for failing to pay attention. And I don't understand educators who lay blame with so many negative assumptions about children's intentions. Little boys need to move, bump into each other, roughhouse, tackle each other, and being conditioned to sit and speak when instructed, as most schools require, goes against everything their biology drives them to do. So, Crystal, your 6-year-old is trying to manage an unreasonable situation in the best way he can. He is not the problem. He is coping with his environment in the best way that he can. From what you've said, it seems like your son may be bearing the brunt of a traditional paradigm that expects too much. Yes, he may have challenges that prevent him from being more calm in the classroom. Yes, he may need practice controlling his impulses. Is it too much to want your son to be calm or less disruptive? No, absolutely not. Of course not. But aside from judging his behavior, what is the teacher doing to support his growth? When the teacher said that he seemed smug and disrespectful, that was her adult perspective of a child whom she's allowing to offend her sensibilities. But in reality, she was facing a young boy who was likely feeling stressed by her lack of caring attention to his emotional needs and her likely focus on his behavior. I see his smug disrespect as a mirror for the teacher who seems stuck in her traditional box. If she were really focused on his social emotional learning, I think she would have had another view, a view of a scared child with whom she needed to build a trusting relationship with if she wanted to have any influence. Sadly, too many schools with their stoplight charts and recess rewards are focused on solutions that are best for adults, immediate behavioral change or compliance, rather than what is best for our kids. But we still want to support your son, Crystal. So if you were to ask him why he disrupts and doesn't listen, you're starting out in a logical frame of mind, and you will likely get little in return. His defenses may go up, or he may shut down at the interrogation. Logical inquiries will likely set off his threat detector, and he'll tune you out or act silly to avoid the discomfort that he may feel. And then if you do get any reasons from him, you'll likely feel the pressure to say things like, "I know you're frustrated, but you have to listen to your teachers." So starting with logic, you get stuck in this behavioral focused lens. This is going to get you nowhere, or it might give you a short reprieve, but if you don't address the underlying issue, his emotional and perhaps sensory needs, his behavior will never evolve. Your objective is to stimulate his higher brain functioning so that he can strengthen the connections to impulse control and thoughtfulness. You do this by first securing a connection and validating your child's experience instead of judging his inability to cope with it. Making this conversation as safe and non-judgmental as possible is your only conscious path. You can say something like, "School hasn't been much fun lately, huh?" Or, "I imagine that it's hard to keep quiet and still for so long." Or, "I imagine that you feel left out when the kids don't invite you to play." And then let him guide the talking. Don't interrupt with rule reminders for what he should do. Now, you also mentioned that he's told you the kids don't like him, but he doesn't seem to understand when you tell him that if he wasn't disruptive, that they would be more accepting. Right here, he told you what was bothering him, but you, like many of us who feel the pressure to change our children, got focused on the behavior, which led you right to a left brain logical response of, well, if you didn't, then this wouldn't happen. But first, I'm not sure if that's true. I'm not sure that if he wasn't disruptive, that they would be more accepting. And second, he can't successfully adapt his behavior if he thinks he's causing problems. The truth is that kids will like him or not like him for many reasons. His behavior, his hair, his shoes, the color of his socks, his voice. But kids need to know from us that they are liked and lovable even when their behaviors are not acceptable or the seeds of shame are planted. Now, the reason that I so fiercely defend our kids is that I was often aggressive, defiant, and smug as a child. But I was not challenging the rules to be disruptive. I was mostly reacting to the stress of the situation or the hypocrisy that I experienced. I often got in trouble because I spoke to my elders in the same ways that they spoke to me, and I rebelled when I felt unjustly controlled or judged. Teachers didn't get me, and my parents thought I just did things just because I wanted to. But I wasn't in need of more discipline. The detentions, the suspensions, and the writing 1,000 times, "I will not hit my sister," did nothing to change my behavior. It only made me angrier and feel like I had no voice. So this challenge might be something that you work on for several months because your son at this age is just now developing and strengthening the connections to the thoughtful thinking part of his brain, the part that allows him to be reflective, to pay attention, to sit still, to consider others, and to have impulse control. These are all executive level skills that we ask 6-year-olds to master. Now, cognitively, kids may seem smart, very together, even mature for their age. But emotionally, it tells a whole different story, and the curve can be much longer. Early education classrooms that are academic in nature are a problem for many kids. So I am calling for all parents to stick up for your kids and for teachers to offer kids something more than daily behavior charts. Young children need guidance, tools, and lots of time and practice to reach their potential. Okay, Crystal, that was my teachable moment for you. I hope that you found it helpful, and now I'd love to hear from you guys out there. Have you faced the disciplinary glare of your child's teacher, or felt shamed or embarrassed at your child's perceived lack of behavioral control? I'd love for you to share your stories in the comments so that we can help you reframe and relabel those judgments and evaluations that are handed out to so many kids unjustly. You are not alone. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, I would be honored to have you share it with a friend or someone that you love or on your favorite social media site, because when you share the love spreads. And if you want more tips and tools like this, be sure that you are subscribed to my weekly updates. Get on over to teachthroughlove.com and enter your email to sign up, or you can subscribe right here to YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, sharing, and liking. Until next time, please remember, it's about consciousness, not perfection.